Tattooing's got to a point now where people are less likely to experiment.
It was not something you did that you ever thought you were going to get famous for. You did it because you were an outcast. It was as pirate as that back then.
If tattooers are considering themselves artists, where do those two things meet?
The whole point of it was just to like have something that was bigger than myself.
It's like the library of a tattooer's mind.
When we're living in a world that is as fucked as it is right now, this was just a nice escape for me to like just draw. I would encourage everyone else to do the same.
You do literally go through a story when you're looking at each piece.
Yeah. Which then go down onto this one.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
You really want my proper fucking advice? That will carry you far.
Okay, we're here at Lock and Key Tattoo Studio in Worcester, and I'm here with owner and tattoo artist and everything about Lock and Key, Mr. Adam Hudson.
Hello.
So this weekend you've got yourself a little event going on with Frank Carter. It's the Lucid Dreaming exhibition. Some of it is already behind us, as you can see, but could you tell us a little bit more about what's going on this weekend, please?
It's been working on this project for the past kind of year or so. The concept of it is lucid dreaming. Out of body, but also being present and kind of just letting your dreams kind of go wild. And I mean, the imagery like reflects that. There's a lot of his inspirations through music, tattooing, art.
Lucid dreaming is the idea that you can control your dreams, This felt a little bit like this. Drawing specifically with pencil is like my meditation. If I'm overwhelmed with the world, I just grab pencil and paper and just fucking draw. A lot of these came from I was trying to buy a house and it was a fucking nightmare. So I was just found myself drawing quite a lot, and then I started like putting them together, and I just liked the way they were falling in and out of each other. And
there was never a full intention to make one big stream that goes together. It just sort of fell into place.
I never finished the first sheet. I like basically started drawing like a piece across two sheets because I'd never done that and I just thought it'd be funny. It just happened that I just kept going and kept going. Now there are so many offshoots. At home in the studio on the walls, I've got about 15 sheets that I started, and the goal eventually was to be able to give those sheets to my friends and to say to them, like, finish this however you want, but make sure that at least one of your designs goes onto a new page, and then give that to someone else. So the hope in the future is that it's just a sprawling big mess of things that we can somehow get scans of it all and put it together. A network of roots.
It's almost like a never-ending artistic story then.
The hope one day is that like I'm long dead and buried and it's still crawling around in the world. That's
beautiful, man.
It'd be fun.
The coolest part of the exhibition is all the images link up, so they can go side by side, they can stack, and there's various elements of each individual image that overlap onto the next one. So there's a lot of different formations you can kind of have with it. The longer you look at each image, you just pick out more. And
it's like I'm doing that with this one right now.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It just that's where the concept of lucid dreaming came from. The name of the show and the artwork based around it is just this idea that there's no end and no beginning to anything.
Yeah, there's no beginning and there's no end. I can't remember the first one, and they've all been drawn at like different periods, but they fall across pages, and I'll finish a piece across two and then I'll start another piece that ties in, so they can be repositioned and repurposed and they can fall in and out of each other. That's why I called the show Lucid Dreaming.
You can view it left to right, or you can kind of, you can walk right, you can step back a bit, re-look at another one because you realise it's like, oh, okay, there's the start of a school here.
And then there's the other side.
And you're like, oh, okay, the other side of it's here. So it's...
Well, I've got to say though, like you said, there's so many little elements that like you can spend ages looking at, and then you look at the next one and it's a completely different like ball game altogether, really.
We could take all this off, put it back up in any random order and it would still make sense, but also be completely random. It's nice that it's got that concept, because I think if you just walk in and you don't really know what's going on, you're just passing by and you're like, oh, there's an art show, I'll have a look. The longer you look and go back and forth, you really start to see these elements that don't quite fit, but at the same time everything fits together, and hence the name. It's quite lucid and it's quite like fluid, and some of the images are just fucking crazy. Nothing is quite finished, but at the same time it has its place.
It has its place to be there, yeah.
It's still really easily to like distinguish what each image is. Who's to say it's finished or not finished?
Artwork is subjective.
Yeah, this is like where this exhibition really kind of like has its strong point, is the images that are a lot looser and a lot more simple are as powerful, or if not more powerful, than some of the stuff that is a bit more refined. And
I mean, there's so much going on with like this one, for example. You know,
Yeah.
the panther. We've got a couple of different skull variants here. Some sort of like gnome or something with a gun and a bag of money.
that's the thing.
So I suppose that does prove the whole lucid aspect of this artwork, doesn't it? Nothing's quite finished, but everything is where it needs to be.
I've never really loved the explaining artist bit, you know, like
The
it
art
just,
do the explaining.
it also can't, like, everyone's gonna find different stuff and little bits are gonna resonate with different people. There will be things in here that really mattered to people when they were growing up and will mean absolutely nothing to others, and there might be stuff in here that people are offended by, do you know what I mean? But that's kind of the point of it.
Some of the themes that show up in these images are quite, you know, in some cases they are political, they are thought-inducing images, but you know, at the same time, the imagery is so fluid that it just weaves in and out of that, and it's almost, there is no clear message. It's just,
It's however you want to. It's however you want to
it's
read
open
the
to
story.
interpretation, and that's art. It's, you know, it's what's beautiful about it.
I've always been a multifaceted artist. I tattoo and I make music and I draw and paint. And if you look at the work, you know, reference throughout it is essentially just my life. Deep dive of pop culture and tattooing and art. This is all like just carbon and paper. Which is obviously, if you want to get deep about it, that's just us. That's where we come from. You know, if you really boil it down, we're just all carbon. So the point of it was just to like have something that was bigger than myself. Sometimes it's reference from like my old library that I used when I was first making tattoos, and then there's loads of pop culture reference that I just cannot escape. I've always really enjoyed this part. I don't know why. Like I just these eyes are just from a tiny little section of the manga Berserk, which is like one of my favorites. My manager, she said, look, when you do the show, you got to have some affordable art. It's something that I've been really passionate about bringing like younger people into the art world. It's hard if you don't have money. Like I just wanted to make it kind of fairer to anyone that wanted to come, didn't have money for a big drawing, but still wanted to take a piece away from the show. So these we just keep as cheap as possible. There's still like one-off paintings by me and they're signed by me, and the whole point is that like art should be available to everyone. The key with this is you don't really know what you're getting, so you could get, you know, you could get a skull, you could get something you really love. In there somewhere there's like a little banana man like giving you the finger. So it's there's a lot of random stuff in there because some of them I didn't love. Like I was, you know, my friends were like, just use the ones you've made for the... I was like, I don't. some of them are like hectic and really bad. So I made some nice ones, yeah. So every morning I wake up and I just paint and I use these as reference. It's just a very quick way of relaxing. Naturally, like, they find their way in. So I use these, I'll like blow them up. A lot of these bigger skulls, like here, this will be an ink drawing that I did like in the morning. And then I just blow it up massive and just use it to fill some space, or like, you know, if I need something darker, I'll just pull it in. That's what these are about. I just make them every day, and like actually made thousands and thousands of, I'm not kidding, like thousands of these. Yeah, I started doing this in COVID, and I would just go on live on Instagram and ask people what they wanted, and then I would just send it to them, and it was a nice way to like connect with people when we were, you know, in a time where we were feeling really disconnected.
Why an art show in a tattoo shop?
It's natural that we put it in a space like this. Anytime I have a show like an art show, I always tattoo because it's just fun. Drew a sheet of flash. It always has like a, you know, a quick trip through my history, I guess. Sex Pistols stuff, some rattlesnakes, pure love right through to gallows. So
an opportunity came up to do this, and it's something I've thought of for a while now. If tattooers are considering themselves artists, where do those two things meet?
I've been working on a show for quite a few months, and then at the very last minute it fell through, and he just pounced on this opportunity. He was like, I will save this for you, and I'll give you my space. It's like fully your vision. It made perfect sense. It wasn't until I actually like turned up that I realized how perfect the space was. So it's cool.
You fit into this studio really well with your tattoo portfolio, I would say.
Yeah, well, I mean, I went downstairs and he's got half my stuff on the walls.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Kind of cool, like walk through history. It was pretty sweet. So I just thought, like what a huge kindness from him to like step in and save it. We've built this amazing community online, and he's a big part of that. And so I think like seeing everybody's reaction to him coming in and saying like we can still make this happen was really special. So he sent me some pictures of the space and it looked like perfect, you know. I knew I could make it work, so I just shifted my headspace.
A lot of tattooism, creating art outside of the studio, where does that live? Because it's not always appreciated on the walls of a tattoo shop. People are they're so accustomed to seeing it. So I almost feel like I've flipped that around, where it's, these images weren't intended to be tattoos, but they could be. You know, tattoo flash is to serve a purpose. It's almost like picking from a menu. You know, you see it, it's there, that's how it's going to look as a tattoo. When you mix art and tattooing together, you know, one of them at some point is going to have to take the forefront. Frank has tattooed now for 20 plus years, and he's been an artist for even longer in various mediums. And, you know, hosting something like this in a tattoo shop, it's kind of the perfect blend of those things.
The crossover with tattooing has always been folk art, you know. It's like when we talk about original tattooers, they were outcasts, they were literal soldiers, but they had a creative output. Some of the best poetry came from the front lines, you know?
Throughout the whole weekend we're going to be tattooing, and we're all tattooing designs that are inspired by these images, the concepts behind them, Frank's music, Frank's interests. You know, if you're not so much into the art, you can like the tattoos, and you might just come for a tattoo but then see the art and a certain image or a certain element of this you connect with. I kind of like that it's subtle enough that you could pass by and not really know what you're looking at, but as soon as you realize what is going on, you'll take a second glance, and it will hopefully inspire people to create and get tattooed. It's like the library of a tattooer's mind, where...
That's a great way of putting it.
You know, you're sat down thinking like, what am I going to draw, what am I going to tattoo? And you're like, you know, someone wants a skull. There's 1,000 ways you could draw a skull.
Yeah.
And you look at every single skull on this wall, and they're all different. Each individual panel almost represents that thought, where it's like, right, there's a concept. And then drawing all this inspiration from various things. It's like from other tattoos, from cartoons when you were growing up, from like contemporary things, song, dance, music, everything. It all lives in an artist's mind, and that's where the inspiration, like, you're constantly drawing from these things, and, you know, you're drawing from your own ideas but also other people's, and you're kind of like, you know, how do I want to draw a skull versus like how is someone like Ed Hardy drawing a skull,
right,
and it's that merger. But like the show displays that brilliantly. And that's like where the heavy tattoo reference for all this, like, inspiration comes from. All this is that you can have tattoos that touch, you can have tattoos that are spaced beautifully, you can have different styles all into it, like working together and kind of interlocking, and it's still readable. It shows how like simple and bold and meaningful some of these images are, that, you know, even though you've got a skull that's got another skull overlapping and a wolf that's kind of half coming out of it and it's still part of it, you can still see a skull, you can still see a wolf, still see a snake.
Your brain still
recognisable, yeah. And it's
like, I love that as well, the ashtray right behind a massive T-Rex. It's just like how random that actually is.
And like this, where there's, you know, the wolf is behind the flames but also part of the flames, and is also in front of the thing and behind the thing that's in front of it. So it's like
how your dreams don't ever make sense, but you understand what's going on.
And I mean, you know, you wake up from a dream and you think you remember it, and you think you have this clear concept of what it was, and then suddenly you remember all these things, and if you try and explain it to someone, it makes no sense, and the longer you think about it, the less it makes sense. The art world and tattooing at the moment has become so structured, and there's so much intent, and there's so many labels and boundaries, and, you know, who's to say what is right and wrong, and what is right, what is wrong? You know, is what we're seeing online or what we're being told is right actually right? As a younger artist or quite a novice, how do you navigate that when you have a vision, you're surrounded by people that are telling you this doesn't work or don't do that, but your body's trying to tell you something else? Well, why doesn't it work? And it's that exploration of that.
It's fluid, and that's like, I found that's the best way for me to work, is trying to force it when you're not ready is just a disaster. I just relax into it, and like, I found that that's the best, like, opportunities just happen. But then I have worked, you know, for 20 years, both tattooing and playing music, and you know, perseverance will take you a long way.
Tattooing's got to a point now where people are less likely to experiment and explore new concepts and new styles. You know, there's so much information out there, and 30 years ago with tattooing, it's like you had to be a tattooer. You tattoo black and grey, you tattoo full colour, new school, traditional. You had to be such a well-rounded artist.
Everyone that I know, they didn't get into tattooing to be known. They got into tattooing because they loved drawing and nowhere else would hire them. It was not something you did that you ever thought you were going to get famous for. You did it because you were an outcast. It's kind of been fun and bizarre to me to watch how it's exploded. With any kind of explosion, there's a time where it runs out of steam. Since
like social media's kind of blown up within tattooing, it's really, people come into this, they're like, what is my style? What do I like? I mean, I had it myself. Like when I started tattooing, I was so clear about what I wanted, and I kind of like tunnel visioned into it. And this is where like the difference between tattooing and art is that like with art, there's no consequence. It's so subjective in that there's no boundaries to it. Tattooing is a little bit different in that there are limitations of the skin. There's limitations of like the technology that's available, the quality of pigments, the quality of needles, the machines, how machines run. Whereas good and bad where tattooing's gone, because it's like there is less need to experiment and explore. But at the same time, that's, you know, from an artistic point of view, which a lot of tattooers now consider themselves artists more than tattooers. I think it's harder to push that boundary for yourself and see outside of that tunnel vision you have.
I think that the world has changed. That's the problem. We're seeing too much of it online now, and that's your, like when you talk about expectations, it's hard to set them if all you see is like celebrity tattooers. So if that's what you see, then that's what you expect and that's what you aim for.
Some of the new generation of tattoo artists today probably don't have any of this to sort of like feed off of, because they just see what people do on social.
Social media is really tricky because you do create this bubble for yourself where, you know, if you're interested in one style of tattoos, that's probably all you're going to see. You'll very rarely see anything outside of that. When you look at something on a phone screen, your mind cannot comprehend that this exists bigger than that 2-inch screen. Tattoos don't always lend themselves to that. You know, you post a photo of a back piece which is, you know, this kind of big on a 2-inch screen.
Yeah.
Your brain cannot compute what it's looking at. It's why I wanted to put on a show like this, because yeah, you know, you could look at these images online, but you're never going to fully understand what's gone into it, because you can't see the paper texture, you can't see the strokes of the pencil, you can't see the depth. You take like music for example, you know, when an artist releases a record, it's so polished and it's so intentional, but if they play that live, it takes on a completely different life, and you feel it more and you feel involved, and you know, you really connect with it on a different level. And that's the same with art. It's like, you know, we're so accustomed to seeing any kind of artistic endeavor on our phones. Our brains have been trained to do that now. Is this quick information. We get bored, we can't look at things for long, and something like this, and the message behind this show and the concept of it is that it's about being there, and it's about also kind of letting go of your expectations and just immersing yourself in it. Again, that's why I wanted to bring something like this to to Worcester and to our shop.
That is probably the key message and the key caption from this little chat is let go of your expectations.
Just start dreaming.
Start dreaming.
It's art for the sake of art. And it's just creating for the sake of creation. And I think this is again where the name kind of lends itself to it, is that lucid dream. Part of it, you're letting it play out as it happens. Other parts of it, you feel like you're in control.
Just spent my life just making for me. And then it all just got really, really easy. Now, that's all I tell my daughter now. She's like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I love it. What do you think about it? And she's like, well, I think I need to change this and this. I said, why? So, well, I don't like this. I said, well, if you don't like it, cool, change it. But if you want to change it because you think other people won't like it, then maybe rethink that. Like, as long as you like it, doesn't matter. Like, the people that it resonates with will come, and the people that it don't are just as valuable. Her artwork's in this. Yeah, she's in this. She's like,
oh, go on, let's have a.
She did this one. She drew this. Well, she drew this when she was really young. She was like 4 or 5, and it was called Magic Bird. She just wrote on it, and then I found it in a flat file like years later, and then I like just traced it. So it was all in different neons. It was just so fucking random, but I tried to do it as, you know, true to her as possible. She saw it the other day. She was like, oh, Magic Bird. Hell yeah. So many people get hung up on impressing everyone. You can't. There's gonna be hundreds of thousands of people in your life that don't like you. Fuck them. I don't have time to fucking try and impress them. Who cares? There's millions of others that will like what you're doing, and you'll get on their vibe. And once you like recognize that, life's easy.
Part of the reason I wanted to put the show on is to inspire a next generation of tattooers. I think the thing I like about it is you look at it and it always feels achievable that no matter what artistic skill level you are, we could all be capable of creating these images. It doesn't need to be a clear image, clear message or anything. It's all just a concept that you look at it for what it is, or you can read further into it, or you can interpret it your own way, and it's so multi-layered.
New generation of tattoos, if you're saying to me like you're finding that people can't do this, I would say why? I'm in fucking 2 bands and I still did this. Do you know what I mean? So if you're telling me you don't have the time, you're doing something fucking wrong. Like, you've got the time. You have to have the time. because you're gonna die at some point, and if you and then what? Like then you literally are out of time. While I'm here, I just want to make as much as possible all the fucking time. That's been my mantra for the last 20 years. I love making, I love doing, and I don't do it for anyone else. I do it for myself. If no one comes tonight, I'm still gassed. It's the same with music. Music's my therapy, you know. Like, I make it because I know that the things that I've lived through, the experiences that I've had, the obstacles that I've come across in life, like I'm not the first person to experience those, and I won't be the last. So for me to eloquently explain like my position in whatever obstacle it is, hopefully that will help someone else that doesn't really have like the same way with words or the confidence to like know that it's going to be okay on the other side. And that only comes from experience of like living through the battery like constantly, you know. Life's just waves, man. We you know, you catch a few and other ones knock you off your board. I had a conversation with someone 15 years ago about my art, and they were like, I can't see the line through. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were trying to explain to me their position in that they were a gallerist and they wanted to see the line through from my education, from my art education. Which university did you go to? Which I didn't fucking go to. I don't have a degree. I got 3 C's. Do you know what I mean? I was lucky to finish my A-levels. Fuck you. Like, I am the line through. When I realized I didn't have what he needed, then I felt free. I was like, great, I'm never gonna be with this guy. I'm never gonna be enough to like, for what he needs, but I am enough. We're living in a world that is as fucked as it is right now. This was just a nice escape for me to like, just draw. And I would encourage everyone else to do the same. Just fucking draw. Yeah,
well, it's beautiful stuff, man. It gives me inspiration to start picking up a pencil, so I appreciate you doing it. So like even now, I've just noticed the little stars and stuff coming from the light there.
Which then go down onto this one.
This is beautiful.
Every time you look at one of these panels, you're going to see something new. If you remove all the images, it's just a flat sheet of skulls. And then suddenly you're like, okay, well, there's kind of like a very, you know, there's a second layer and a third layer, and then there's also another layer that goes over all of that, but also interlocks with it and goes under it. And it's
like an open door to Frank's mind artistically, I suppose, isn't it?
I spoke to Frank quite in depth recently about his artistic process and, you know, and reflecting on my own process, that what comes first, like, you know, the concept or just sitting down and drawing what's in your head. And
trying to get it all out.
It's a bit of both. You know, you can get so set on a certain image, you're like, right, I really want to draw a panther today, but if your mind and body aren't connected and you've also got no ideas, you can wrestle with that design for hours. Or you can just sit and draw something for the sake of drawing and reset your brain to beat that artistic block. And this is what all this is. It's some of it is very intentional, some of it is the kind of, you know, it's the sprawlings of a madman. It's all those things.
What would you say to someone who is probably in a bit of a creative rut or struggling to bring themselves out creatively?
Embrace it. Sometimes you need a goblin day. As soon as you commit to being in the dip, you got to tell yourself tomorrow's a different fucking day, and you got to go to bed and wake up and try. It's okay to be down. Like, depression literally is just like it's just a lull in energy. That's all it is. You don't realize you're in it, then you'll be stuck in there for months and months, because we're ultimately creatures of habit. A low period is like comfortable. We have to work all the fucking time, all the goddamn time. The society we've made, the way we've built it, you have to work. So like, that's fucking exhausting. You're gonna be burnt out. Like, so yeah, if you hit a low bit, fuck man, enjoy it. It's a rest period. You really want my proper fucking advice? Straight up, get up at 4 a.m. before anyone is awake. Don't tell your partner you're doing it. Just set your alarm. Get out of bed as quick as you can. Drink like a fucking pint of water and just sit down with a blank piece of paper, and whatever comes out, comes out. And it doesn't even need to be your direction, but before 9 a.m, you've made something. Your day is won. Yeah. Your day is literally, you've already won. Before the day has even started, you've already done something, and that will carry you far. Like, it really will. Reading is good at night. Researching, like, what you want to do. That's the good place to do that. Morning is your time, man. If you've experienced your whole day seeing other people doing great stuff, and then you try and find the energy for it when you're tired, like, that is going to backfire immediately, and then and then it's going to compound all your negative feelings of like, I'm not enough, I can't fucking do this, I don't have the inspiration. Like it's the wrong time.